always been in that state of just sheer loneliness, sheer sadness, of just always and constantly being negative about ourselves. And this is a big issue. Obviously, I've had this multiple times, especially in the morning time. We all face that problem of loneliness and somewhat depression. I don't like to call it depression just because I really don't think most people with the problems that we have right now don't really understand what depression really means. Does it really mean of the mental state, or is it more of the physical part where you can't physically do things? So I don't like to go deep into that, but in this video I'm going to explain you 5 things that you should be thinking about when you feel extremely lonely, because most of the time you feel lonely is because you're always thinking about yourself all the time. Number 1, you're not showing enough kindness or compassion to people around you and the people that you meet on a daily basis. One of the reasons, as a Homo sapien, as a social animal, we need to consider that if you're not compassionate to the people that you around you, let's say your friends, your family, or even the strangers that you cross by, and you're always being a complete dick, and that is one of the reasons why you feel extremely lonely and depressed. You need to understand that as a Homo sapien, as a social animal, it is your priority to be kind to others, is your priority to show compassion. Receive compassion, you should show compassion to others. And that is so important because that's neglected. And that's one of the reasons why you feel lonely. Number 2, I want you to shift your mindset. Instead of thinking about yourself, think about others more often. I know it feels like you're taking more of your time. I know it feels like you might not be being productive, quote unquote, but you actually are being more productive, because when you consider others more, you stop thinking about the negatives in your life and you'll start thinking about the positives because of the positives that you have received from others by constantly thinking positive about them. And moreover, you'll have better bond with them and you'll build a community. So I want you to think of others more often. I actually do this compassion meditation where I would think about others more often than myself, and sometimes it would just be a stranger that I walked past across the street, or mostly it would be my family, like my mom and my dad. But I would just close my eyes, meditate, and then think about good things happening to that person. And that really helps because that is a meditative state, or whatever you want to call it, but it'll help you think about others more often, and that'll actually in the end eventually give you benefits for yourself as well. His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, he also does this on a daily basis in the mornings. He constantly says that he meditates in the morning and he is always thinking about others' well-being. For him, he focuses on the 8 billion people in the world, but that is very fascinating because you are constantly thinking about others, and that is immensely powerful because you'll never feel lonely. Obviously, if you're like in personal development and if you are into self-improvement, obviously you should think about yourself and the behaviors that you have, the habits that you have, and try to improve yourself. But sometimes I feel like there's a rabbit hole of constantly thinking about yourself in this self-improvement sphere where you'll start feeling depressed even though you're trying to improve yourself, just because you're constantly thinking about yourself. Number 3 is you'll build self-confidence just by thinking about others more often. So with confidence, I feel like it's a very hard subject to sort of uncover. I recommend this video by Russell Brand. He's one of my, I think I would view him as the most charismatic person on planet Earth, and just because of the way he talks and the connectivity that he has, the ability for him to interact with anyone from different fields. So when it comes to flirting, he's good at that. When it comes to a man-to-man masculine energy sort of talk, he's good to that. He's also very into spirituality. But anyhow, for me, I feel like a charismatic person is always someone that is able to connect with anyone, irrespective of their background. So I recommend you check out that video. I think he called it like On Confidence or something like that, by Russell Brand. Just go on YouTube and type Confidence by Russell Brand, and then it'll pop up. I highly recommend that video. It's really insightful and interesting. And also, this person, Mark Manson, I think the author of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. That's what it's called, the book. And I think in that book, I'm pretty sure he mentioned some parts about confidence. And in the end, I think ultimately confidence it's not about the successes that you have in your life, the accolades. It's more about what is your mindset and what happens in your head and what's happening in the outside as well when you fail at things. And the most confident people are the people that are able to hold themselves in a calm state. Think of the failings as an opportunity to learn. So they have a growth mindset, popularly known by this book called Mindset by Carol Dweck. He doesn't have a fixed mindset. He just has a growth mindset, irrespective of the things, the obstacles that he has in front of him. So that is very important, and that's what I think confidence innately means. It's just someone that's comfortable with failing. So anyhow, back to the self-confidence. If you show empathy and just try to always think about others, you will build an immense self-confidence, and that is so important and that is so crucial. Number 4, I feel that when you're thinking about others more often, you will build a better understanding of people around you and also more empathy towards them. With empathy, I think, comes immense power. Obviously, the whole point of you thinking about others more often than yourself is to build stronger empathy. I'm not sure if you heard of this, like some people saying, well, that guy doesn't really have that much spirituality, or meaning that he doesn't really have that much of an emotional intelligence. Like right now in this world of logic and numbers, we are sort of somewhat robotic. We think of templates instead of originality. We think of edits and shortcuts instead of creativity. So I think it's a big problem, and that is something that's not really human in a way. So when you think of others more often, you'll build more empathy, you'll build more emotional intelligence, you'll build more of a understanding towards people, and sometimes you will just open up your mind, and it really is eye-opening. Number 5 is something that is sort of weird, but I think it's really important to mention. It's building more of a sense of purpose. So, a lot of people ask questions about, well, how do I find purpose, and how do I build purpose, and how do I, yeah, what is my career meant to be? And sometimes I feel like the target that you're hitting, or the you're pointing finger at the wrong person, which is yourself. And instead of looking for problems to solve in the world, think of the world as already solved, and what else can you contribute? Instead of thinking of something to solve, think of um, I mean, yeah, in a way you are solving, but instead of thinking about that, which is very narrow-minded, I think of others more often, which will help you sort of build a sense of purpose, just because you are prioritizing the problems they have instead of the problems that you have. So that is very important, and you will build a sense of purpose in any way, in any form, when you think of others more often. All right, guys, the video is at the end, so thank you guys so much for watching. Hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys the next time. Before I leave, I wanted to mention that this is not like to say that I am on top. This is to say that I am also always improving, and whenever I have those sadness, or whenever I have those loneliness, I can somewhat relate to you and sort of share you my understanding and my sort of thought process. And I just feel like we don't think enough about others more, which is a big problem. And I also recommend you read this book called The Second Mountain. I also have a book review of this book in the video. I'll link the video up here. So check it out. It's one of the book reviews, or one of my favorite books that I read last year. So I highly recommend you check that video, and I go over why you should read The Second Mountain book. All right, guys. Till next time.